at a lower level, different from information that you give. Same information, however, in speaking to each audience, you temper what you say. Do it in such a way that, diplomacy comes to play. A little bit of background I have in diplomacy, there are two definitions that always come to my head. Where diplomacy is defined as saying the nastiest thing in the nicest way. That is to say that, okay, you want to say something really nasty, but then you put it in such a way that, the person is not able to pick it. The second that's very related to that is when someone defines diplomacy as the skill with which you can tell someone to go to hell in such a way that the person looks forward to the journey. So you are telling this person, go to hell, but then you're not sounding brutish. You're not sounding, in some high-handed manner. You're just saying, saying it in putting it so clearly and putting it in such a sweet manner that the person then says, okay, I'm actually looking forward to this journey. When are we leaving? Can we start going already? Now you have to be diplomatic in what you present. So for each audience that you are speaking to or that you are targeting, you have to be diplomatic in what you present so that you do not create the wrong impressions, or so that you do not disclose the wrong information to the right audience or right information to the wrong audience. And before you know what's happening, it can balloon out of your own control. The third thing to do is to choose an appropriate method of communication. And by the way, I just observed after I prepared the slides that this thing is following in an ABC manner. So I probably should have said the ABC of employee engagement in Austere Times. Then that wasn't planned. I just realized when I was putting it together that this is what I ended up having. So we have done the A, we've done the B, now we are the C. Choose an appropriate method of communication. So there are different ways that you can communicate, different ways that you can push out information. Look at what works for your organization. Look for what will thrive, look for what will drive the message home in the best way possible, and making sure that you reach the specific audience that you need to reach, right? In some places, you may need to get management to do some kind of, should I call it, in some places they call it village meeting, in some places they call it town hall meeting and all that, where management is directly speaking to the issues. So yes, we have an issue. Someone resigned from the board of directors who was, who is a key stakeholder or a key shareholder, resigned from the board of directors. Yes, that is the situation, like acknowledging it. But then, going away from that, we are moving on. This is what we are doing. That's what we are doing, and all of that. Again, remember that in the end, you need to build trust and gain the trust of your employees. Could it be that what would work for your organization is some kind of podcast? So this may work for larger organizations that have maybe a nationwide spread or maybe a global spread, where the management, top management, CEO, MD, whoever it is, does a recorded message and it is cascaded and everybody gets the information that they need to get. What I'm trying to say is make sure that you find an appropriate method to communicate whatever it is that you need to communicate to them, making sure that you have nothing hidden. The fourth thing to do, which is a D now, is to display tangible empathy. Now, one of the challenges we have today in Nigeria, this week and late last week into this week, we've heard about the government pleading with Nigerians to, have faith in the government, to tighten their belts and all. You read that in the front page of the newspaper, you turn the second page of the newspaper, you see where a certain amount of money, 70 billion naira, has been released for National Assembly principal officers to buy bulletproof cars and everything. And then you're wondering, what's happening? If you're asking us to tighten our belts, what's wrong with you tightening your own belt also? So you have to display tangible empathy. People need to see that you feel the pain that they are going through. Whether you are doing a verbal communication, a video communication, is an email you're sending, is a podcast, whatever it is that you are doing, people need to be able to read the tone. They need to be able to see that, okay, while this is an issue for the company, the management also understands how I feel, right? They understand that, okay, this is an macroeconomic issue, okay? exchange rates just went up, and so the prices of things have skyrocketed and all that. Management understands that this is how exactly I feel. You know, they have to see that empathy. And I said tangible. The reason I said tangible is because it's something they have to be able to literally touch. There should be no second guessing. Okay, are they thinking the way we are thinking, or do they have you know, are they just sitting in their high horses and just, you know, delivering gist or news to us? If you require them to make sacrifices for certain reasons, let's say you are having a micro or macroeconomic concern, right? Maybe your product is not doing well in the market and revenues are dwindling and all that. You know, you are asking them to take it easy. Are they also seeing you, you know, take it easy or taking it easy at the same time that you're telling them the same thing? So you have to display tangible empathy. Then the fifth thing to do is evaluate the situation it is, right? Whether it's of an economic nature or it is of a political nature. It is expected that at some point in time, there will be an improvement. At some point in time also, it may not exactly be an improvement. There might be, if the situation might worsen, but whatever the case, people need to see you on top of the situation. When you evaluate the situation and come back to them to give an update, you say, okay, well, so 2 weeks ago we met, this was what we said, that was what we said. We are happy to announce to you that, you know, yes, last month we made a loss, but this month, yes, we also made a loss, but it has, you know, the gap is closing, and I'm sure that by the end of this month, we'll be back in profit, you know, and we'll bounce back again, and we'll smile again, you know, and that they need to be sure that you didn't just say something and go to bed. They need to see you evaluating the situation. They need to see you, you know, coming back to them almost at every turn to give them updates on what is happening. And finally, you get your leaders and managers involved in your communication. Now, I don't know how to emphasize this, but you see, most of the time, a lot of people feel detached from management, especially when we speak of top management. They are not able to speak to the people at the level where the people are. So sometimes, depending on what you want to, information you want to pass across, your best avenue for passing that information might actually be the managers who work with these people every day. These are the people that they see on a daily basis, they greet, they meet on the staircase, you know, and all of that. They are the people who are, you know, as much as possible in the best position to push the message that you have. So if you cascade the message down to managers, of course, with the level of emotional intelligence that we expect that everybody who calls himself a manager, you know, should display, you realize that you are able to get across to the people or get into their hearts. Remember, in the employees, it's not so much because there is anything bad in people leaving companies. It's about what you have invested in them and what they go with. It's about the that you may have created in the system that may never allow your business to come up again. Whether you are a business owner or you are an HR manager, and I have always tried to emphasize to HR managers that the H in HR is human, right? At the end of the day, these people are human beings. They are not numbers. It's not just enough to say, oh, I have a staff strength of 200. No, those 200 are 200 human beings. They are 200 people with people connected to them, people who are breadwinners, people who are husbands, wives, daughters, sons, you know, of other people. And you have to make sure that in managing them, you also manage them as the humans they are, rather than, you know, just as numbers. And the more people can see this, the more engaged they feel towards the company. We have seen situations where people were working in a company that was not even making profit, was barely able to pay them their salaries. But because of the way management kept communicating, and they could see that everybody was making sacrifices across board, it was easy for them to, you know, remain engaged with the company. Well, I hope nobody gets to that point where they are not able to pay salaries, you know. But then the point I'm making is that's probably an extreme instance to use. But the truth remains that how you handle the information, especially, and how you handle what happens during austere times has a lot to tell about how well your business will or will not survive in the market. And okay. So part of my conclusion then and final thoughts would be that I already said part of it, which is that HR is human resources. It is us treating humans like the humans they are, and not just like numbers or as numbers. It is us understanding that we are dealing with emotions. It is us understanding that we are dealing with feelings. It is us understanding that we are not just talking about inanimates. We are talking about people who are living organisms and who react, based on whatever it is that we put into them. So the right approach in whatever we do matters a lot, which is why I close with this. If you don't use the right approach, you will end up in reproach. And I know that people who are here, I want to believe that all of us are doing our best to engage our employees as much as possible, and believing and wishing you the best as you continue to do that. It will not end in reproach, rather it will bring you some level of success, and you will have the level of employee engagement that you truly desire to have in the company you represent. So thank you very much. And that would be my presentation. If there are questions or contributions, I'll be happy to take them now. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so very much. Please use, let's give a clapping emoji to Mr. Okechukwu Eforibe for this wonderful presentation. Thank you so very much. This is an eye-opener. One thing I am taking away from this class personally is the aspect of, if you don't use the right approach, you will end up in reapproach. So thank you very much, Mr. Okay, for this wonderful presentation. We really appreciate your time and your dedication to this event. So please, if you have any question, kindly make use of the chat box, or if you want to use the speaker, please signify. Let us know. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much, Mr. Okechukwu. Let's have your questions coming up, please.
Okay. I see that Philo raised her hand, so maybe she wants to use the microphone.
Okay, Philo, let's hear from you if you want to use it.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, you're audible, Philo.
Thank you so much for that presentation, which is very timely. I really learned a lot. What I also want to find out is what can an HR do in a situation where you have leaders that tend to be hanky-panky, that tend not to acknowledge the situation, no matter what the HR does, to approach them to follow the processes you have listed under the tips. So what do you advise the HR should do? Because the end, especially all these private sector, they will tell you, is the government helping them to pay any bills? Is it the government that is the, well, what is it that the government is helping them to do? So they are free to do whatever they like to do. They are so insensitive to the pains of people. So despite the effort the HR makes to see, okay, let's be engaging, so that these employees, we try to understand things from our own point of view as an organization, to know that we are not unmindful of what they are going. They tend to shun you off and make you feel that anybody can go to hell. So what do you advise the HR should do in such an instance? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Philo. So we have these issues all the time, and it's not just with regards to employee engagement, even though everything dovetails into employee engagement. But you see, the truth is, I'm aware that sometime, I think last month or 2 weeks ago, we had a session on business partnering. And the key component or aspect of business partnering is as simple as it is, which is partnering with the people, right? Because as a partner, you're supposed to be the bridge between management and then the people who are on this other side. So what I would advise anybody caught in this web that you just described is to do your best from where you are. Do your best from where you are means engage